With a former champion vowing to make a WWE return and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Reacting to her image being on an AEW production truck, Sky Blue wrote on social media, "AEW, my life is crazy." In a video showing off Dominik Mysterio's wedding, Rhea Ripley was spotted in attendance. Asking a question regarding Smackdown not having their deal with Fox renewed as the show is set to be on USA Network, Blue Fox wrote, again with the, quote, "no 1 million viewers equals failure. If that's true, then why is Smackdown getting kicked off Fox when they're averaging 2.4 million viewers?" Dave Meltzer responded, "Fox didn't want to match the $279 million per year USA offered for the show. They'd have gladly kept it for a lower price. They didn't truly cancel, they were outbid." Talking about being a part of ROH World Champion of the promotion, Eddie Kingston said this on Inside the Ropes. "To me, Ring of Honor is not a downgrade. I'm still in the ring, I'm still the world champion, and I'm not going to treat it as a downgrade. If you treat it as a downgrade, then it is. I look at every show that I'm on as the best show in the world because I'm on it. Once you start labeling things like shows or promotions as downgrades or whatever, then you're shooting yourself in the foot before you even get started. Since I'm the world champion, I want it to be bigger than Dynamite, Rampage, or Collision. But until then, I'm going to keep trying until I lose that championship." Mentioning details on the deal Kazuchika Okada signed with All Elite Wrestling, Ringside News wrote that Tokyo Sports recently reported that Kazuchika Okada has signed a 3-year deal with AEW. The contract is estimated to be valued at 2 billion yen over its duration, translating to approximately $4 million USD per year. Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted that contrary to Tokyo Sports' report, the accurate figure for Okada's contract is considerably lower than the initially mentioned 2 billion yen, $13.5 million. However, the actual amount remains undisclosed, but it still represents a substantial contract for the acclaimed wrestler. Okada signed a 3-year deal. Tokyo Sports reported Okada signed a 3-year deal at a 2 billion yen, $3.5 million over the course of the period of the contract, or an average of $4.5 million annually, but that number is not accurate at all. The real number is considerably lower, but it was still a very large number that he signed for. Speaking about WWE's new approach to promos, Jinder Mahal noted on Gorilla Position, "Those two promos that I had, one with The Rock and one with Seth Rollins, a lot of that was what I kind of wanted to say, and I was given the freedom of some level, which was awesome. You've got to trust the performers. We are each individual. We bring different things and let everybody shine, right? It's an exciting time for WWE. It's an exciting time to be a WWE performer. I really believe the WWE Universe, our fans, are going to dictate what happens a lot more on our shows now. In the past, sometimes when WWE was stuck in its ways, this is the direction we are going no matter. However, the crowd is going to react. They're going to react." Going over AEW not seeking out footage for Sting's retirement from WWE, Ringside News wrote that ahead of the AEW Revolution pay-per-view and even during the show, AEW produced wonderful video packages encapsulating Sting's illustrious career over the years. Footage from his time in Japan and other promotions was shown, but there was a distinct lack of WCW footage. According to Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer newsletter, there was speculation among many people about whether WWE would reciprocate, Khan's past gestures of allowing his talent to appear on WWE television to honor John Cena and at the Hall of Fame ceremonies. The current status remains unknown, as WWE was never approached or asked by AEW for such reciprocation. Many people wondered, given in the past Khan has allowed his talent to appear on WWE television to honor John Cena and at the Hall of Fame ceremonies, if WWE would reciprocate here. The answer is that we don't know, because WWE was never asked. Touching on his AEW contract expiring, Matt Hardy said on his Extreme Life podcast, "So as far as that goes with my contract, people had asked about my contract. And obviously I've got messages after that news broke earlier today, and it didn't come from me because no one had known anything about it. So once again, Sean Ross Sapp breaking the news. Yes, it is coming up in March. And we've spoke about it and we've talked about it, and I guess we'll see what happens. So we'll see. If you listen to the podcasts, just give me your feedback. Tell me what you think I should do next. Ever since I came to AEW, I spoke with the Bucks first. I've been close with the Bucks. I've just said that a minute ago. We've been great friends for a long time, and I've really enjoyed working with Tony Khan. He's legitimately a very, very good human being, so we'll see. Business is business. Sometimes things change. You never know. I love AEW. I'm cool with staying with AEW. I really enjoy the locker room there. I really enjoy being there. But if that's not what happens, and that's not what happens, life goes on. So I'm good." On Instagram, a clip of a stream was posted where Kenny Omega said this in response to those claiming he has hurt the wrestling business.
And guys, you know what? I will say one thing too. For whatever reason, I guess because of what I do, how I do it, what I say, how I say it, maybe my idea or my vision towards wrestling has created this incredible troll following. What would I be without my trolls, right? Very, very intelligent individuals. Troll comments on this stream. Hey, it's welcome. It's welcome, brother. You want to be a troll? You want to say something funny? You want to tell me how much I ruined the business that you love, or whatever it is? Share your opinion. I like your opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. This year, it's a safe place for conversation. Hey, if you be clapping at me, maybe I'll clap back. Who knows? I'm not sure. Probably not. This is all about having a fun time. So if you
Revealing when she found out about headlining Elimination Chamber, Nia Jax told Booker T and Brad Gilmore on the Hall of Fame podcast, "I didn't know Rhea Ripley and myself were main eventing Elimination Chamber until I think the night before. I think somebody had sent a card to me and I'm like, wait a minute, does this mean that we're on in the main event?" I'm not gonna lie, it felt like a lot of pressure because you had some pretty stacked Elimination Chambers and a great tag on the card, and then you had the Grayson Waller effect. Being main event of that show, it was a pretty big deal for me, and I just wanted to put on the best match I possibly could with a great story. Easy with Rhea Ripley, but wanted to be able to tell a really good story to the fans and hope that it resonated to them, and it was an honor to main event in front of all those people. Speaking about Sammy Guevara being suspended by AEW over not following concussion protocol in his match against Jeff Hardy, Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio, "In this situation, the doctor should have stopped the match, and it should not have been up to Sammy Guevara to take it home." And again, like what he was told, I guess whatever it was, the fact he did a GTH and nailed the guy with the knee after the concern of concussion was one of the reasons why it went the way it didn't end up suspended. So anyway, yeah, so that was the deal with the Jericho and Guevara team is now out the window, so I guess it's going to be Jericho and Hook. Addressing her ankle injury from last year, Mercedes Mone said this on the Kick Rocks Wrestling podcast. "I've been posting my training videos. I've been training really, really hard with Tyler Breeze at Flatbacks and Sean Spears. Shout out to Hybrid School with Funaki in San Antonio. and New Japan Dojo in LA. I've been working so hard to get back to this place that I love, because little do people know I was told that this is a career-ending injury, and I screamed at my doctor and surgeon. I said, no, it's not. I'm going to come back really soon, and I'm going to have just the greatest time, the greatest matches, the greatest career that I've had yet, because I see it and I feel it, I know it. While she is reportedly set to show up at the big business edition of AEW Dynamite, Mercedes Mone said this during that same interview regarding a return to WWE. I know I'm going to be back there one day. Like I said, I have a lot of unfinished business in a lot of places. On X, Jeffrey Toussaint posted a video from AEW Collision where Kazuchika Okada will have his first match as a contracted employee, as half the arena is empty. Ringside News added that, according to WrestleTix, only 2,166 out of 2,441 tickets were sold for the event, despite the Gas South Arena having a capacity of approximately 13,000 seats. Observant fans at the venue have pointed out that significant portions of the arena have been covered with tarps, indicating low attendance. Going over his termination from WWE, Matt Riddle told Ariel Helwani, "It was written in my contract that I was going to make $1 million this upcoming year guaranteed, which was a lot more than I was making last year and a lot more than what I was making a year before that. So I think there were multiple variables that played into my departure. I think at the end of the day, it was a complete business move, and one thing that I have noticed with all of these guys, just like I failed a bunch of drug tests and got fired from the UFC, other people have failed drug tests and still have jobs," said Riddle. He continued, "I think for the most part it was a money thing. I think maybe my value went down a little bit, and for the amount they were still paying me or guaranteed to pay me, I honestly think that played a bigger factor than anything." Giving his mindset prior to descending from the rafters, Sting said this to Mark Raimondi of ESPN, "You climb and step over that rail and it's like it's time to let go now. I used to say my sphincter muscle gets very tight in those moments, and it does. It can be scary. I had one little pang when I was up there. It was like a 30-second pang when I realized I'm getting ready to do this here again. We're having this casual conversation. All right, you ready to go? I'm ready. Let's go." Mentioning the likelihood on Tama Tonga joining the Bloodline, given there are rumors of him joining WWE, Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio, "He's on his way. Don't know the role. Very likely, at some point, could be part of the Bloodline situation because he's considered family by all those guys. So if they need somebody new, it could be him. A year ago, he had been talking with WWE. I don't know a start date or anything, but he's done in New Japan. So in theory, he should be starting pretty soon." Releasing a statement following his two recent matches in AEW, Will Ospreay wrote on X, "And thus my first tour under the AEW banner has come to an end. Thank you so much for such an overwhelming response. To everyone backstage, thank you so much for allowing me into the home you've built. I will cherish this place and treat it as my own. I'm banged up bad, but my foot is still on the gas pedal. But now I'm gonna get on this flight home to my beautiful missus and stepson and enjoy the fruits of my labor. I believe in AEW. Also guys, I'll be back Tuesday for work. Don't worry." Speaking of the recent AEW Revolution match that Will Ospreay had, No DQ wrote, "As seen during the 2024 AEW Revolution pay-per-view event, Will Ospreay defeated Konosuke Takeshita in his first match under a contract to the company." Dave Meltzer of F4WOnline.com noted that WWE Hall of Famers Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat had never seen Ospreay wrestle until the Revolution pay-per-view. Meltzer wrote the following in regards to their reactions to Ospreay's performance. One top AEW star who knows all three described it to us as that they had heard of him, of course, and knew all the praise he had gotten, but had never seen him wrestle and were blown away with just how good he and the match was. Flair said that Ospreay was unbelievable as a wrestler. Meltzer ended up giving the match a 5 3/4 star rating. Ospreay's match against Kyle Fletcher on AEW Dynamite received a 5-star rating from Meltzer. Defending Darby Allin going through the glass panel at AEW Revolution, Matt Hardy said this on his Extreme Life podcast. I love the fact that it's a polarizing thing. The thing that Darby did where he jumped out into the sheet of glass and the chairs and whatnot, and he was out for the match. I think that spot was appropriate in many ways. I'm not saying that's something that I would have specifically done, but I understand Darby. I know how he thinks. And he is the true definition of what the Hardy Boys were supposed to be. He is a total adrenaline junkie that wants to just keep upping and upping and upping and upping and upping and upping the bar and doing something more crazy. He's a true daredevil, almost masochistic in some ways, but you know, he did this. He's out and you have Sting defend off both of the Young Bucks and you put him in a very vulnerable, jeopardized position, which I loved. Then you get to see flashes of the old Sting, him no-selling. He goes through the table, he no-sells. He takes the super kicks, he absorbs it, and he no-sells and comes back and eventually taps out one of the Bucks, taps out Matt Jackson. I loved every single thing about it. It was emotional. They told a good story. Sting looked as great as Sting could possibly look in that match. In those moments, and Darby did a hell of a job carrying his end too. Kudos. A big round of applause to everybody involved. They killed it, and once again, I will applaud Tony Khan for getting Sting there and sending him out the right way. When it comes to The Rock's influence over picking Hall of Fame inductees, given his position on the TKO Group Holdings board, Aaron Rift of NoDQ.com said, Paul Heyman, Bull Nakano, and the U.S. Express, Barry Windham, and Mike Rotunda have been announced for the 2024 WWE Hall of Fame so far. The ceremony takes place on Friday, April 5th after Smackdown. It was previously noted that Paul Triple H Levesque is making the final Hall of Fame decisions for the first time. However, Fightful Select noted that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson also has influence. Sources within WWE have told us that The Rock has had input on this year's WWE Hall of Fame inductees. One indicated to us that would be evident if the planned inductees are revealed as scheduled. We weren't given any additional info as to what that means. Another source said The Rock had input on all of this year's inductees, though we've not confirmed that to be the case. During the interview on the Kick Rocks Wrestling podcast, Mercedes Mone said this about tribalism in pro wrestling. First of all, I think we're just living too much in our phone, the internet. It's like, will you just go outside for a little bit and then go back into your room and watch wrestling? It is so funny. They watch it just to critique it, to hate it. They hate to love it. That's the thing. They hate to love it. They should just love it. Have fun. It's just television. It's just entertainers putting their bodies on the line to entertain you. And you're the ones that are getting angry and going, well, they should be in this company because this company, blah, blah, blah. What? You're telling us what company we need to be in? You're telling us what job we need to take? Reacting to the allegations of sex trafficking against Vince McMahon, Jim Ross said on his Grilling JR podcast, lots of change afloat, and personally, I'll be glad when the winds have swept that change on through. I'm tired of it. It's embarrassing in a lot of ways that it's happened this way. It's affected a lot of innocent people. That's my take on it. I might be wrong, but it's time to move on. It's time to move on and cause some rest and peace for some people, and it's time to move on, in my opinion. And I just never believed that Vince McMahon would allow his company to get this out of control, and it has, and I feel badly about that because I know how much the WWE meant to him. I'm sure it still does to some degree. So anyway, it's time. Let's go. Let's move on. Let's rewind it and cast the hook in the water one more time and see if we can catch something more positive. Well, it'll affect Vince McMahon's legacy in wrestling to some degree, but it won't be earth-shattering. It won't be a big seismic graphic change because he's still Vince McMahon and he's still built this amazing company that many of us in different forms of pro wrestling are still celebrating and still playing off of. I just think it's time for all of us to move on and find happier days and build from there. But you'll never be able to take take away from what Vince built and how he's helped a lot of people. I mean, a lot of guys that are making a living in pro wrestling right now can look at it any way they choose, but if they're being realistic, they look in the mirror and see Vince McMahon staring them right in the face because he was the catalyst that created a lot of this change and the incomes going up and all of those things. So I just wish it was over. I just wish we were moved on and all these issues are settled and we have moved on to happier days. Because I think that's what the business and the world needs, is happier days, and still get that with the old WWE memories. At least I do. I'm very thankful I had the chance to work there. I'm even more thankful I have a chance to work for Tony Khan now at AEW. So it's all good, man. It's all good. We have to build on the positives, and that's what I'm trying to do at my stage of life and my health situation. It's important for me to build on the positives, and that's what I'm trying to do. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.